saturated ground. Whatever falls is going to quickly cause street ponding, street flooding, and then maybe bayou flooding, so we're going to watch it carefully. The heavy rain is setting up along this temperature boundary. You can see how we're 72, 73 degrees, Pearland, Hobby, and then further inland. Look at Tomball and Bush, they're 76. They've warmed up as well, but we're 60s back into the western counties, and so there's a boundary in there, one of several boundaries that will produce this heavy rain threat over the next couple of hours. Here's the radar. Now, if you've been watching us on social all morning long, Blake and I have been updating how the coast has seen the heaviest rain, but now here on the southwest flank, it's split. One line's pushing off the coast, another one is building inland. What we've got is outflow going both ways, and so we've got two new boundaries. And that boundary here that's moving inland now is coming across southern Fort Bend County. It's south of Richmond-Rosenberg. Sugar Land, Missouri City getting in on some of the heavier rain, and that's a pretty good band of rain that's going to come right across the heart of the Houston area, right up the 59 corridor, right through downtown, Med Center, Bel Air, Meyerland. It's going to come right into your neck of the woods first here. So we'll be monitoring Brays Bayou, but again, that bayou is still well down, well within its banks. It can handle a couple inches of rain. That flood advisory, the only one that's in effect right now, is for Galveston Island. They had a couple inches of rain in about an hour or so, causing some street ponding there. But that may very well, this band of rain coming up through Brazoria County, northern Matagorda County, now into Fort Bend County, that's going to cause street flooding in Houston and Harris County as it moves in, if it holds together like that. There's Galveston. You're into that flood advisory for street flooding in Galveston, but the rain there has let up. And see how it's pushed offshore here, but also pushed inland here. There's that band of rain coming up through Fort Bend County. Houston, Harris County, so far we've been relatively dry, but there's the leading edge of some heavy pockets of rain coming through Sugar Land, now coming up through Bel Air and Meyerland, just about to get to the Med Center, South Side, Rice Military getting in on the action right now. There's one clap of thunder. That's right near Cinco Ranch, just southeast of Katy, 99 Connector. And so here comes our chance for rain. And because the ground is saturated, any rain that falls could very quickly cause street flooding, and then creeks and streams and bayous may react as well. That's a heavy downpour heading toward Pasadena, very heavy downpour. It's small, much smaller than what we saw on Thursday, but still intense. So it will go through quickly, brief heavy rain, then you'll get a break. And if we can keep getting breaks now and then, we should be able to handle at least a couple inches of rain. But after that, we would get into some problems. And this is a little bit concerning because that's a fairly band of rain. And it's training a little bit. Computer models suggest that whatever's building here is going to sweep through quickly, but if it trains as it sweeps through like that, in other words, like a train on a track, you've got boxcars of rain, and if they just stay on that track, well, then those rain totals can add up very quickly, and that is pointed right at Sugar Land, Missouri City, and then the Houston-Harris County area. So we're about to get our test to see if we can get through this afternoon without any significant flooding, or if this is going to train and cause at least some flash flooding on some of the area bayous. Computer models, now if you've been with us during the day, the computers have been suggesting this might happen where the back end of that line would build into our southwest counties and then sweep across the area. So here we are at 1 o'clock. Again, this is the computer model forecast. This is the rapid refresh. By 3 o'clock, Harris County inundated with some heavy rain. So is northern Brazoria County, Pearland, Friendswood. So is Galveston County. East side of Harris County, Baytown, down to Galveston County, Lamarck, Texas City, you could get some heavy rain. Spring, yes, Kingwood, Atascocita, you could see pockets of heavy rain. And then after that, it sweeps it through. And by 5 o'clock, most of that heavy rain is exiting to the northeast, although it does kind of want to hang on. Spring to Kingwood and Atascocita and Humble, where, of course, you had the 10 inches on Tuesday. So we've got to watch that very, very carefully. By 7 o'clock, we're done. This should sweep on through, and that should open the door to some cooler air coming in. And, in fact, lows tonight in some areas may drop down into the low 60s and upper 50s. And that's not going to show up. So here we go. So here is what's happening as far as the winds. We've got this convergence zone right along the coast. And it looks like, yeah, we've got a little pinch showing up right here where that new band of rain is formed. And so, yeah, you've got two pinch zones right there. So with the air, this is at the surface, so the air is converging along the coast, and now a new convergence zone inland. when the air comes together like that at the surface, it can't go down because it doesn't go down to the ground. It bumps and it goes up, and it creates a focusing mechanism. And so that is concerning. That's interesting and concerning because we've got one of these coming right up across southeast Texas and another one right there on the coast, and those can stay fairly stationary for several hours. So once again, the forecast has the rain sweeping into Houston, Harris County, and a big chunk of southeast Texas as we head through now through 3 o'clock. That'll be our heaviest rain time. After 5 o'clock, it begins to lift out of here, and by 7 o'clock, we're done with it for the most part, although Livingston, I see you guys up there. You may see some pockets of heavy rain. Was that a clap of thunder outside here?
Yes.
So again, we're in the Galleria area. I'm looking out the window, and I see the wind is beginning to...
I'm looking out the window as well, David. Is this looks like a big shelf cloud coming in right over, is that what I'm seeing?
The leading edge of that rain,
you can see it out there behind the Capital One building.
It's a good view we've got here. In fact, I'll put it up for you so you guys can see what we're looking at. Hello, Galleria area. There you are.
Yeah.
So that's the rain.
So there's your shelf cloud right there.
Yeah. And then look, you can, it's hard to tell if that's haze or is that actually rain off over the
Maybe
610
heavy
loop.
rain out there towards Greenway Plaza.
Yeah. So west side of the 610 loop right now, you're getting in on some pockets of heavy rain here right now. As the rain begins to sweep in, let's go over the radar one more time. Temperatures have stayed relatively cool. This is actually helping us because we were in the upper 80s when we had the heavy rain on Thursday. We're in the 60s and mostly low to mid 70s, although I see Conroe's warmed to 77. But we're not in the upper 80s, so that is lowering the energy in the atmosphere, but there's still plenty. And because we've got this focusing boundary here that's moved inland, that could cause some problems. So that is it's a thin band, but it's very heavy rain. And you can see here the last couple of frames, it does just kind of train right along those tracks. So that's pushing, that should push right across the heart of Houston, Harris County, and especially the southeast side. So Bel Air, let me just zoom on this for you so you can see here a little bit better here. Bel Air, Meyerland, the Med Center, Brays Bayou Watershed. You're about to see some pretty heavy rain in here.
And that's exactly what we're seeing, that cloud we were just pointing out. There's the leading edge of it pushing into the west side of downtown.
Yeah, because we are... So here's where we're broadcasting from, right here, Galleria area. And here comes this heavy rain. So Missouri City, you're getting in on a heavy pocket of rain. There's Bel Air, Med Center, of course, Meyerland, you're in here. U of H, South Side, getting in on some rain right now. Yeah, Westview, Rice, you're just about as that's going to sweep right up and in across the area, and it just remains to be seen how much rain we will get and how much we can take. And
looking at the stream elevation here, Buffalo Bayou at Shepherd Drive. I mean, clearly there's plenty of room in these bayous.
Yeah.
I mean, they're nowhere near bank full.
right, so Blake is just looking at the bayou levels, and Buffalo Bayou and most of the bayous in the area are way down in their channels, so we can take a couple inches of rain before we have any significant bayou flooding. I want to look at the lightning in here. I'm trying to get that a little bit bigger.
It's on, it's just not much there.
Yeah, there's not much there. I just want to increase the size of the lightning strikes. And let me just go to the... So we're getting some lightning in here. There's not nearly as much. I mean, you guys remember Thursday night when we had just oceans of lightning, thousands of strikes in 15 minutes. That's what was associated with that baseball and golf ball size hail in spots. So we're getting some lightning strikes in that band, but not nearly the amount of lightning that we had when we had those torrential, damaging flash flooding downpours on Thursday night. So there is some lightning in here, and that is some heavy rain. And if it trains, which is coming right up 59 right now, it is going to produce some street ponding, some street flooding right now. No advisories, but we'll watch for that. Although I say that, let me make sure I've got these advisories turned on.
I think the only one is for Galveston until 1:45.
Right, so the only advisory right now in the area for any type of flooding is in Galveston, where they had a couple inches come down in less than an hour, and you've got street flooding here, Jamaica Beach up to downtown Galveston. Does not include the Bolivar Peninsula. But this will probably prompt some sort of urban flood advisory in Fort Bend County first, and then if it holds together parts of Harris County, I would expect to see street flooding in the next hour or two. So look, if you're out and about, or you've got a family member who's out doing some shopping, they're out busy on this Saturday getting some stuff done. If they don't follow me on Twitter or Blake, we just tweeted out this update, make sure you give them a call, tell them we've got heavy rain coming into the Houston area right now, and to be very careful on the roads, as it could cause some high water spots. And at the moment, again, the bayous are all down well within their banks. And what I'm looking at, even as that comes through, that would be street flooding, but probably not bayou flooding. But again, we're going to have to watch it very, very carefully, as we've got these thunderstorms that have developed here just south of 59. Here's Highway 59 up through Atascocita. So along and south of that 59 corridor right now. And really, as we get into downtown, or close to downtown, Sugar Land, you're getting in on the rain. That's going to come right up across the heart of the Houston area, too.
I'm noticing that what we were looking at out along 35 about an hour ago, look out towards Colorado County now, filling into northern Fort Bend. So it's beginning to fill in a little bit, but this is exactly what the RPM and the HRR were showing.
Yeah.
It all kind of coming together.
Put this in motion for you guys so you can see it. This is a 2-hour loop. And that's how it's coming together. What we've got is, we've got a piece of energy here, a little short, we call a short wave. Why is it doing that? There we go. So I'm drawing in the mid-level winds. We've got a little trough in here. That's sweeping up to the northeast. That's lifting the atmosphere here. And you can see how quickly the storms are moving. That's really moving quickly. That's why they have no advisories there. That wasn't enough to cause any flooding in central Texas. And then here along the coast, what we've had is this convergence zone, the boundary, and that is, and quite often those mid-level troughs will pull those boundaries along with them. So it's pulling it inland a little bit. And that's one of the reasons why this heavy rain band has transitioned, part of it has transitioned inland. There's also a little vortmax out here, spinning counterclockwise, another one further south.
What's
down
that?
Here. It's a little spin in the atmosphere, a little vortmax. I've said it 1,000 times. Hey, you haven't learned. And that is going to want to pull some of this offshore. So this is a very complex little weather system we've got here in East Texas today. And the computer models sometimes won't pick up on all the little moving parts here. So it's one of these times where we just kind of sit here and babysit the radar and watch it very carefully.
I'll take control of the radar here and I'll walk you through it.
Looks like we've got a new flood advisory. Oh, no, that's the same one for Beaumont. The new one, it's a new one for Louisiana, southwest Louisiana.
Let's zoom on in here and let's take a look at some of the rainfall rates.
So, again, I'm not seeing the amount of lightning that we saw on Thursday night, but still lightning indicates we've got convection. And these are some very intense little downpours embedded in that line.
43 strikes.
Again, here's Highway 59. So this is south of Richmond right now. Right now it's just south of Sugar Land, Missouri City. You're getting in on it. Again, this is not, we don't have any flood advisories for this right now. You know, if you wanted to bring in the radar estimated rainfall and just take a peek at that, feel free. But the bottom line is we're about to have this band of moderately heavy rain with some thunderstorms in it coming right into the heart of the Houston area right now. We've got saturated ground. And I can see it's begun to rain out here in the Galleria area. It's light rain out the window. But it won't take a whole lot to cause high water spots on those feeder roads, entrance and exit ramps. It won't take a whole lot to begin to see some street flooding in some spots, depending on where that band sets up. And then we could see the bayous react as well, so we're going to watch that very, very carefully.
Just a second, I'm almost done here.
Yeah, that's quite all right. That looks like what's fallen today. I'm just curious as to how much rain has fallen in southern Fort Bend County. Just to see how much. You know, I've got that scene just above that if you look.
Oh, did you? Oh,
Yeah, it's set up right there. It's okay. if you actually, here you go, hold on, let me just, because I've got this set up, I know how this is going to look. Hold on just a second. So what we're looking at here is how much rain has fallen today. Clear that. And I've got this, Blake, this is set up over the last 12 hours.
Okay.
It's an inch. So here's why we don't have a flood advisory for southern Fort Bend County
Well,
yet.
no, I mean, that rain has only been there for about 30 minutes, 45
That's a good point.
So
It's an inch. So those are rainfall rates of right around 2 inches per hour that we're getting here. Probably heavier rainfall rate in those heavier downpours.
yeah, and I'm not seeing much hail, so it's probably not hail contaminated.
And we're not seeing the lightning, which tells me that's not hail contaminated.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of hail. So these are rain totals from this rain band that's pointing toward Houston. So we can expect in the Houston area that as this rain band comes in, if it holds together like it is.
So we have a brand new flood advisory for Brazoria, Fort Bend, Galveston, Harris, Matagorda, and Morton until 4:15.
Yeah, here we go. Where is Lauren? Is she still down in Galveston?
She is.
We need to get her back up here.
Okay, I can give her a call.
Yeah, give Lauren a call and tell her to come on back up here. Boy, look at it filling in.
Yeah, I know.
And so we've got a director here, so we can jump on the air if we need to as well.
Yep. I don't know if it's worthy of it yet,
Yeah.
but we'll continue to watch. I mean, can you put on the flood advisory?
Yeah.
I have to,
Yeah, I got you. Here we go. All right, so they've jumped out ahead of it here. It hasn't rained that much in Houston yet, but that band of rain, this one right in here, coming right up the 59 corridor through Fort Bend County, it's about to sweep into Sugar Land. It's going to come into Houston. You're going to see street ponding here. We're going to see street flooding in the Houston area. So we've got a flood advisory that's in effect till 4:15. That's not a flash flood warning. When you see the flood aerial advisory, it means street flooding is likely, especially in those low spots, secondary roads, feeder roads, entrance and exit ramps. So again, if you got someone out here right now, they started out, looked like it was nice and quiet, and just some mist and drizzle this morning. It's now about to turn into rain and at times a thunderstorm and at times heavy. So it is getting a little bit concerning that we're going to see at least the street ponding. This is not as intense as Thursday night. It's not nearly as intense as Thursday night, but it's training. So, and so if you're watching us and follow us on Twitter, so Blake's just about to tweet out an update on our flood advisory here for Harris County, Fort Bend County, Brazoria County, as that training band of rain is moving on in. Here's the way it looks right now. We've got embedded pockets of heavy downpours. And just looking at this, there are enough breaks in here, and it's not as intense enough to cause a huge flood emergency like we had Thursday night, but this is going to cause some high water spots on the roadways. Flood advisories in the green box until 4:15. Galveston's flood advisory in effect until 1:45. Got another band of rain sweeping up along the coast as well. Let's zoom out and get a bigger picture here. So again, the two factors in play here right now: upper level trough, surface convergent boundaries, are a couple of them. A little vortmax, a little low. That's a low pressure area, Blake. A little vortmax sitting off the coast. And so where these surface convergent zones are moving, that's where we've got the rain focusing. Those convergent zones are so important to watch for. That's why if you watch the 10 o'clock news, I always show them to you. That and the upper level winds. Upper level winds, surface winds for conversion zones. And that's quite often where the heaviest rain is. And that's why we had this flash flood watch stay in effect through Saturday. We did get a break 24-hour break yesterday, which was very important, especially for Spring Branch, Memorial Villages, also East Side, Halls Bayou. Needed a break from the rain to drain out. It has. The bayous are all down in the bottom of their channels right now. We've got room for them to take some rain. We just need to get that band of rain through here with enough little breaks in it so it doesn't really roar and train over us and give us this flood threat. But the flood threat is there. That's why the flash flood watch is up. Let me show you again an update of our computer model forecast for how this is going to play out across southeast Texas the rest of the afternoon. So here we are at 1 o'clock, and here we are going into 3. So between now and 3 o'clock, heavy rain in bands coming across the Houston area. Street flooding is the biggest threat. That's why they've issued an aerial flood advisory for a big chunk of Houston-Harris County, including Sugar Land, Missouri City, Fort Bend County, Richmond, Rosenberg, as that band of rain comes across. It's enough to cause some street flooding. We'll have to wait and see if it's enough to cause any stream or creek or bayou flooding. Again, the bayous are down in their channels. We can take 2-3 inches of rain, and then after that, it's going to get very concerning. So we're watching rain totals, and I'll put the rain totals up here again in just a second. By 5 o'clock, it sweeps further north, but still some of that lingers back into Spring, Woodlands, Lake Houston area, Conroe. So you guys watch for street flooding in the Kingwood area this afternoon. It is certainly a possibility. You're included in that flash flood watch. And then by 7 o'clock, we're done with it, and then we're done with it for a couple of days. We'll get 2 days to dry out. And I'm going to update the estimated rain totals here. I say estimated, so this is estimated by Doppler radar. So we can see what is potentially coming across Houston. That's from yesterday. So here's our training band of rain that's coming in, right in between the arrows. This is the rain that heavy rain is laying down. How much is it? Estimated by radar. And this has only been going on for about 45 minutes to an hour. It's been going on longer down here between Damon and New Gulf. So in about an hour, it's laid down 1.25 inches of rain or so in about an hour. That's definitely enough to cause some high water spots on the streets. Not enough to cause bayou flooding at the moment. And so that's why the advisory that's been issued is for street flooding.
So Jeff Linger is saying that this band is putting down 1 to 2 inches of rain per hour.
And that's exactly what we're seeing.
Yeah.
That's great. So Blake's just updating me. Harris County Flood Control is is saying that band of rain is laying down, what do I say, 1 to 2 inches per hour. So we looked at the radar estimated how much does it lay down in the past hour, and it's 1 to 1 1/4, 1 1/3 inches of rain. So that matches with what flood control is saying. So as that moves in, we're going to see 1 to 2 inches of rain over about the course of an hour. And that may lead to some rain totals of 3 to 4 inches in some spots before it's said and done, which might cause some bayous to react.
Now, so far, I'm monitoring gauges out on the west side. I'm not seeing anything that's super impressive at this time, unless it just hasn't updated.
Yeah, and there really hasn't been much rain. In the Brays Bayou watershed.
Yeah.
So Bel Air, Meyerland, you haven't had enough rain to cause Brays Bayou to cause a whole lot of problems. And as I look at this, there are pockets in that band of rain that are heavy rain. But most of it is moderate. Most of it's moderate rain.
And I'm still not seeing a lot of lightning, which indicates that the
Yeah.
rainfall rates probably won't top out much more than 1 inch an hour.
We're not seeing a whole lot of lightning. So lightning is a very important. There is lightning. You see the little lightning bolts I've got in here. Lightning is very important for us to track because it tells us, first of all, usually where the heaviest rain is. Number two, it tells us that we have up and down motion in the storm. We have convection. It tells us that we have a freezing layer in there. And when you get those balls where you have this, like 50 strikes all of a sudden blossom out of nowhere, that tells us that there's probably hail and rainfall rates that may be 2 to 4 inches per hour. And that's what we saw Thursday. That's not what we're seeing right now. We're seeing some lightning and some pockets where you've got 2-inch rainfall rates per hour, but there are some breaks in there And so that's why the advisory that has been issued, and I'll turn the advisories back on here, the advisory that's been issued is in the green box in here, including Houston.
If you click the question mark and click the green box, then
it'll give me the...
see it better at home on the screen.
So this is for street flooding, a street flooding threat right now. Not a bayou flooding threat at the moment, it's a street flooding. Yes. This is not my favorite feature, I have to tell you. Because it takes up too much of the screen.
Well, click the mouse arrow and then move it to the top.
It's so big.
Click the mouse arrow.
I know. These fit better. So for Houston, Sugar Land, Richmond, Rosenberg, Fort Bend County, down into Wharton County, northern Brazoria County, flash flood advisory, street flooding. It still takes up too much of this. Look at that. See, even you don't know where to put it. This is in effect through 4:15 this afternoon. So that's the threat now through about 4:15. And that matches up with what the rapid refresh model has said. This is going to move through. It'll take a couple hours to move through. Hopefully just a street flooding threat, and then it'll get out of here, and then we're going to have a lovely evening and a nice Mother's Day.
So the Weather Service is saying here, this is really for poor drainage areas.
Yeah.
Nuisance street flooding. So they're saying that about an inch of rain has already fallen, which, you know.
So if you can't hear Blake off camera, he's checking with what the Weather Service has to say about it. They apparently have done exactly the same analysis that Blake and I have been doing, which says that, yeah, there are pockets of heavy rain in here, but most of it is actually moderate, which means the flood advisory for Houston, Sugar Land, down to Needville and New Gulf is for areas that you know are going to flood, those low spots, the North Freeway at Parker. And Parker, Parker and Tidwell. There's that gas station there. So all the folks up there that have the four-wheel drive vehicles that we know are going to like to come out and test them through high water, you're probably going to have an afternoon out there, I-45 at Tidwell, In fact, that's where we ought to send Lauren.
That's true.
That's where we ought to send Lauren. Yeah, tell her. Although, you know what? That rain band may not get that far north.
Well, she's on her way to the Sugar Land area right now. Looking at the training here, it's going to be raining there for another couple hours.
Yeah, Sugar Land's a good spot to go. And, of course, Sugar Land is where we've had so many flooding concerns with the Brazos River being so high. And it is interesting. So this type of rain, this won't aggravate the Brazos River. It'll aggravate it a little bit. But what's happened, the reason the Brazos River is so high is because further upstream, up in the central Texas, the hill country in the Brazos River Valley, over the past month, they've had so much rain up there. Yeah, put the rivers on. Put your rivers on. Put them on. So they've had so much rain up in the Brazos Valley.
Oh, love it.
And they're getting more up there. So it's up here, it's upstream, that the water flows down the Brazos, and that's why you get rain up here that ends up flooding the Brazos in Sugar Land. Not the rain that falls directly over Sugar Land. It's what's been falling up in here, and over the past month, they've just had rounds of rain and more, and thunder. And so all that water has fallen into the Brazos River watershed, and down the Brazos it goes, and it swells, it moves like a bulge down there, and so that's why the Brazos River is in flood in Sugar Land. It's not the rain falling over Sugar Land. Now what happens when the Brazos River gets into flood in Sugar Land is that they have to close off some of the drainage areas that push more water into the Brazos, because they don't close them, then that Brazos water comes upstream. So it traps the water in some of the neighborhoods, and that's why there was so much home flooding and street flooding in Sugar Land. That, and because you had 10 inches of rain in one evening. That is unusual, but that happens from time to time here in southeast Texas and Houston.
Thing is, I'm encouraged that you see there's not much back here, and this is moving through pretty quick.
It's moving.
So
again, that's why that's nuisance flooding.
Yeah.
So the Weather Service is saying that this flood advisory right now, it'll just be nuisance flooding on the streets, parking lots, I-45 north at Tidwell. Gulf Bank. I bet that those gas stations there must make a fortune. But you made a very good point, Blake. So there's a cutoff to this. And the reason it's cutting off back there is because, so here's our trough. So maybe our trough axis is right here now. And so on the back side of the trough, you've got north flow and subsidence, sinking air. That cuts off the rain. Here on the lee side, it's the lee side, you've got the lift and the spread of winds at the mid-levels. You've got updrafts.
It's like pushing water off the top of a swimming pool. More water comes up.
Yeah, exactly. It comes right up. So the air in the atmosphere rises, cools, condenses, creates rain, and it falls down and gives us this flood threat that we have. So that's the big picture of what's going on. So this will come to an end. And there are lots of little breaks. It's not as solid or nearly as intense as it was on Thursday night or Tuesday night, Kingwood, Sugarland. Not nearly as intense. And that band of storms, again, the lightning in it is not, it's just not nearly as intense. That doesn't impress me at all.
No, but
there's some pockets of heavy rain. We're going to have some street flooding.
And honestly, since I've been here since about 5:45 this morning, I have not seen any one area get hammered for more than about 45 minutes to an hour.
And to your point, so Blake's been here since 5:45 tracking this. We saw a similar situation come through Galveston Island a little bit ago while you were here earlier, and it caused some nuisance street flooding. So it looks most likely that is probably going to be nuisance street flooding. You know what? Let's turn off the advisories and zoom into Harris County, and I'll show people where Brays Bayou is, because I know folks in Meyerland and Bel Air, you guys are watching this very, very carefully. We are too. So again, the little blue lines in here, and if you want to click off the radar for just a moment. Just turn it off. All right, so what we have in here on this, and turn off the satellite. So what we have here are all the major bayous here in Harris County. Here's White Oak Bayou. This is Blake's project.
My pet project.
This was Blake's pet project, and it's very helpful. So these are the bayous that we monitor and that can flood and cause so much havoc to our lives. There's White Oak, Greens, for example. Halls. You've got, here's Brays. So here's Brays Bayou. Let's adjust that and center up Brays since they're getting heavy rain right now. Oh, you're going to go too close?
You're right.
There you go. There we go. So here's Brays Bayou, right in here. I love how the color keeps changing every time I punch it. There we go.
One on the right, the bigger marker, they can see it.
Oh, okay.
Because that's a little thin line. There you go.
All right, so here's Brays Bayou. So here's Bel Air and Meyerland. So Brays Bayou, Bel Air, Meyerland, that's the bayou that has given you so much pain over the past several years as it has gone into flood and flooded the homes there so many times, Tax Day, Memorial Day, for the floods there. So at the moment, Brays Bayou is down well within its banks, but you've got this heavy rain band that's coming right across your area. So I know you're nervous. I totally understand this. But at the moment, what's coming in, although it may last a couple hours, does not look like it's going to be enough to cause any type of bayou flooding on Brays Bayou. That being said, we're watching it carefully, but right now it's well within its banks. Should be able to handle a couple of inches of new rain.
Point out one thing really quickly. So we are located right about there.
Right, so this is where we're broadcasting from right now here in the Galleria
now
area.
Look out the window.
Right, so
the rain is not terribly heavy.
It's a good moderate rain.
Yeah.
So that red, and there's no lightning, there's no convection with that. So that's a solid moderate rain. That's going to cause nuisance flooding. Here, let me pull it up on the screen so folks can see it. So again, we are broadcasting. We're live here from the Galleria area right now. And there it is. And so,
I mean, the visibility is still pretty good considering.
yeah, it's not terrible. And so here's what it looks like outside our window right now here in the Galleria area. And that's a solid moderate rain. And I'm looking out the window and I can see those are some pretty fat raindrops, but that's not a flood. This is not heavy enough to cause flooding right now.
Right.
Like home flooding, like
Exactly.
bayou flooding. It's definitely nuisance street flooding, definitely. Westheimer. And then here it is cutting, and there's Westheimer as it goes around the building there. Is that correct, if I got that right? No, oh, here we go.
Bearing.
Yeah.
Or no, that's San Felipe, right? Yeah, San Felipe.
No, this is not Westheimer where it comes in like that. That's Westheimer, and then it comes right around like that.
You're right, it is.
Yeah, and this is the one where it splits off to the right.
You're right, yeah. So that's Westheimer. San Felipe runs over here.
Yeah, so San Felipe's off here. Here's Westheimer heading to the west, and it loops around and comes in here, and there's that split. What's the name of that street? This is the one that'll take you over to the Transco Tower. I know there are Transco Tower fans out there. Williams Tower. I know who you are, Williams Tower.
Right
No emails. Blake knows. 901 feet tall.
That's right.
I learned
Built
something.
in 1983.
And what a spectacular building with the
Yes.
water wall. I mean,
Yeah,
one
it
of
is very
Houston's famous landmarks. So this is what's happening rainfall right now. Cars are moving a little slow. It's nuisance travel weather. It's nuisance street flooding. We're here and monitoring it because the ground is so saturated. If we get a burst of heavy rain, it would be moderate flooding. Blake's going to update the. Oh, hold on a second. Are you going to show how the rain, how it moved? Yeah. So these are the storms laying down their rain. If you slow it down, go to like slow or very slow.
Okay.
If you hit advanced.
Yeah, I got it. There you go.
So here's that band of rain as it dumped the rain coming in here. And it's starting to add up down here. That's probably about an inch and a half, solid inch and a half near Brazos Bend State Park. So here comes that rain band. See, it's sneaking in up toward Bel Air and Meyerland and Houston. That's the nuisance street ponding. What are we looking at here for totals? Getting close to 2 inches, inch and a quarter, inch and a half.
So that lime green, that bright lime green, is going to be about an inch. by the
Okay,
way.
yeah. So about an inch of rain south. So Missouri City, about a half inch to an inch of rain is what you've had right now. You know, so about a half inch of rain now falling in on the Bel Air Meyerland area. And you may end up seeing rain totals here that are 3 to 4 inches before the afternoon is all said and done. That is definitely street ponding and some street flooding in the low spots and nuisance flooding. But that's not, hopefully, not a bayou flooding situation. And you can see rain totals here around the area. This is over the past 12 hours, so this is what's fallen here really just in the past couple of hours since this morning. And I'm surprised it's only showing 7/10 of an inch in Galveston. I'm sure there were some spots in there that had 2 inches of rain. Oh, in the blue, yeah, they did.
So zoom it on down. And of course, this is radar derived, so
Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be some areas that see
Right,
more.
so we don't have rain gauges in every single square inch of Harris County, so the radar is set up so it can estimate how much rain is falling, and it's surprisingly accurate. All right, let's take one last quick look at the radar. Yeah, that's a pretty thick line of rain, but again, it doesn't have the convection.
No, but it's still going to make for a messy afternoon. And those, I want to give a shout out to my people up in Montgomery County. I got to look out for my folks up there.
Yes.
Mom and Dad watch faithfully. So Mom and Dad and all the other neighbors up there in the Woodlands and Spring area, it's you're not getting wet yet, but what I'm watching is sort of back out to the west and northwest. Zoom out just a little bit, David. This is what I'm watching right there out towards Belleville and Sealy. This is what's going to be tracking up there towards. So if you're up on the north side, if you're outside the Beltway, Greens Point, which is kind of loops around like that. So if you're north of the Beltway, you really haven't seen a whole lot as of yet. This is what's headed your way.
Yep. All right. It's concerning, but at the moment, not a flash flood emergency. That line is pretty thick.
It is very.
But I'm just not, and I'm just going to make the lightning strikes look a little bit thicker here so we can really get an idea of their size here and the number of them. There's definitely some lightning and thunder in there, but it's definitely not nearly as strong as it was Tuesday night and Thursday night.
Look at the Transco Tower now. You can't even see the top of it. So we've got some heavier
Heavier downpour.
DBZs moving in.
And also notice some heavier rain now moving to northeast Harris County. So Lake Houston area, here comes your rain, Atascocita, and of course you've got Humble and Kingwood right in there on the north side of Lake Houston. you're going to get some of that heavy rain, moderate to heavy rain. At the moment, again, this is not heavy, nearly as heavy as it was Tuesday night or Thursday night, but it's training, and so rain totals here over the next couple hours are going to be 2, 3, 4 inches in spots before it finally sweeps on through.
It now encompasses most areas inside the Beltway. All right, we did a little switcheroo with the microphones here. And we'll continue our coverage. Give me just a second to clip it on. Yes, we're still streaming. David and I did a little switcheroo with the microphone. So he's going to take a little break. I'm going to step in here. All right. So those of you just joining us, once again, David and I, Chief Meteorologist David Paul and I have been watching this weather pretty carefully. It was a quiet morning and a quiet early afternoon, and now we're beginning to see these heavy rain bands set up across Harris County, sort of like what we were thinking. Now, we still think that the majority of the rain is going to fall along and south of 59. So if you're down there in Galveston County, Brazoria County, Matagorda County, you guys are still looking at a lot of heavy rain headed your way. But now we're focusing our attention a little bit further to the north. Obviously extremely populated. Harris County, by the way, either the first or the second most populated county in the United States. Did you know that? Over 5 million people live just in this one county alone. So that's why we're focusing our attention. Heavily populated. Obviously, we've had a lot of rain over the course of the past couple of days. Sugar Land, you guys have had some flooding issues on Tuesday. Not so much on Thursday, but now we're seeing that heavy rainfall once again. And I don't want to forget about my friends up here in the Kingwood area. You guys saw a lot of flooding up there on Tuesday. We saw about an inch of rain move through earlier this morning. That pushed on out, but now we're seeing a repeat of some very heavy rain pushing into your region. So here's the 610 loop right there. So pretty much if you live inside the loop, you're looking at very heavy rain falling right now and even picking up now a few lightning strikes there right around the Med Center. Inside the Beltway, if you're down here around inside the Beltway, almost every single person living inside the Beltway is also seeing some very heavy rain currently, with the exception of Jersey Village, where you guys got some very heavy rain last Thursday. So this band has set up right over the city, and we're just dropping about a ½ inch to 1 inch of rain per hour, maybe a little better than that in some of the heavier parts of this particular band. But as we've been alluding to, David and I, and that is we haven't really seen a whole lot of lightning, which is good news, because anytime you get a lot of convection, that up and down motion, you get hail, and those hailstones begin to cling together and they knock off charges. Well, the charges produce a lot of lightning, and it kind of feeds on itself, and these storms get stronger and stronger and stronger, and the stronger they are, the heavier the rain gets. So thankfully not seeing a whole lot of lightning. That is a little bit of good news as this heavy rain band continues to push in right across the city of Houston. Now, if you're out there in northwest Harris County, Jersey Village, Attucks, even out towards Katy, no rain out there for you guys yet, but you can see this rain continuing to back build now all the way back down towards New Gulf, getting into northern portions of Matagorda County, into Wharton County, right along 59 there from El Campo all the way down to Bay City. That's where we're seeing that heavy rain. And if you watch carefully, we're now seeing this line ever so slowly drift on off to the north. So those of you in Sugar Land, Mission Bend, Stafford, areas out towards Sharpstown is what I'm trying to think of. Those are the areas that are going to see the heavy rain push in very quickly if it hasn't already gotten there. Here in the city of Houston, once again, that's where that corridor of heavy rain is, basically from the Beltway southward. So from the north side, if you're coming in on the North Freeway, if you're coming in out of the Spring Woodlands area, you're going to run into heavy rain once you get to about Greens Point and then on to the south, and then really taking you all the way in to what I like to call Palm Bridge, which is going to be the Gulf Freeway where the Beltway crosses. You've got all those palm trees down there. The bottom line is this is going to be a wet afternoon. The rain not
particularly heavy, but I'm looking out the window just off camera. It is certainly coming down, but it's moderate, and it's not going to be enough to really do a whole lot in the way of putting streets underwater. But some of the low-lying areas, some of your more problem child streets, as we were talking earlier, you think Gulf Bank up at the North Freeway. We're talking the feeder roads. Gulf Bank, Tidwell, Parker, those areas, all you need is a broken sprinkler system, and you can put those feeder roads underwater. So just a heads up there. Here along the Southwest Freeway, very heavy rain from Sugar Land all the way back down towards El Campo. Again, we are seeing a few lightning strikes, but really nothing that is overly concerning as far as severe weather goes. I'm not seeing any of these storms becoming severe right now. Maybe getting out towards the Port Arthur area. Look at that big cluster of lightning strikes. That's what would get my attention as far as severe weather goes, and hail and high winds and the possibility of tornadoes. But that is well off to the east and is pushing away from the Houston area. Here locally, once again, I just heard a clap of thunder out the window. A few lightning strikes up in here, but again, how much rain can you expect? Generally 1 to 3 inches, and 3 inches being pretty much on the high end of what we can expect. Now down here in our coastal counties where it's been raining for the better part of the last couple of hours, you may very well tally up 2, 3, 4, maybe even an outside shot of 5 inches of rain before it's all said and done. But you guys haven't really seen a whole lot of rain over the past week. Really, most of the rain on Tuesday was focused up here in the Kingwood area, also down here in Sugar Land. On Thursday, the heavy rain was really focused out here towards northwest Harris County before finally pushing off the coast. But now today, we've seen the heavy rain focused in along the coastal counties from Crystal Beach to Galveston to Angleton, getting down towards Lake Jackson, Freeport, and Bay City. So that's where the corridor of rain is right now, generally from about just north of Baytown, Old River, Winfrey, getting out towards southern portions of Liberty County, picking up some very heavy rain this afternoon. And that stretches right through Lake Houston, Kingwood, right down through the city of Houston, right along 59, down into the Sugar Land area, Brazos Bend State Park, Sienna Plantation, New Gulf, Greatwood, all the way down towards El Campo, getting into the central and southern portions of Wharton County. Now, once again, none of this severe, but 1, 2, maybe as much as 3 inches of rain will be a possibility. Now, Chief Meteorologist David Paul and I have been monitoring the bayous, and the good news here is that the bayous appear to be in really, really good shape. The only issues that we're having are with the rivers, the Brazos River and the Trinity River, but we're not really seeing enough rain to really cause concern at this point. Now, if this obviously keeps up for 5 or 6 more hours, we will have issues, but there's no indication that that's going to last that long. In fact, all the computer models bring this to an end by the time we get to 7 o'clock this evening. So we're going to continue to watch it. Again, I'm looking out the window here. It certainly looks nasty on radar, but what I'm seeing...
It's puddling around the gutters.
Yeah.
It's enough. Windshield wipers are going. If this goes on for 4 or 5 hours, we will have problems with
Right.
the bayous on the south side.
But the good news is that all the computer models, high resolution, HRR, and the help me out, David, RPM, all bring this to an end by the time we get to 7 o'clock this evening. So you know what? It is a good old-fashioned rainy day here across the Houston area. Yes, we could see some nuisance, minor street flooding. Again, Gulf Bank, Tidwell, Parker. Again, broken sprinkler system could put those feeder roads underwater. So not necessarily a big deal at this time. All the major bayous, Sims, Halls, Greens, Spring Creek, Cypress Creek, all the major bayous around the area are in good shape, at least for right now. So Buffalo Bayou the same, looking like that has plenty of room to hold lots of water. Okay. So David Paul, our Chief Meteorologist David Paul, is going to be looking at some of the bayous and calling out some of those stream levels here in just a second. So if you just hear me call out, start random numbers, that's what it is. Okay, Brays Bayou at Rice is at the bottom of the channel, so no issues with that one. And it looks like here they are allowing the flash flood advisory for Galveston Island to expire at 1:45.
Brays Bayou at Stella Link is beginning to come up, but it's still almost at the bottom of its channel.
Okay, Brays Bayou at Stella Link, that's going to be on the southeast side. Still has plenty of room, still basically at the bottom of its channel.
Can you see how this would work downstairs?
Yeah, that would be great. David and I discovered a new camera shot. I think that's going to look really sexy if we can ever get it up and going here. So we're just waiting on our next big severe weather event to see how that goes.
Brays Bayou in South Main is reacting. It's starting to come up, but it's at the bottom of its
Okay, Brays Bayou at South Main is reacting, beginning to come up a little bit, but still at the bottom of the channel, so no issues there whatsoever. How about Halls Bayou, David? That's going to be on the east and northeast side. That one had an issue yesterday, or on Thursday.
Well, they just haven't had any rain there yet. It's at the bottom of the channel.
So no issues with Halls Bayou, and that's good. So they're saying that the flood advisory here for Fort Bend and southwest Harris County, they're going to continue to leave that advisory in place. That's going to account for the 1 to 2 inches of rain per hour that we're seeing that could lead to some nuisance flooding, which is exactly what we've been saying over the course of the last couple hours.
So northeast side, so Greens Bayou, it's slowly coming up. It's about halfway up its channel, and because they're so saturated, Greens Bayou, northeast side, if you live along Greens Bayou, you should monitor very carefully up there.
Okay, I don't know if you guys can hear our chief meteorologist, but Greens Bayou there on the north side, a little bit over halfway up the banks there before coming out. No, it's not imminent. Flooding on Greens Bayou is not imminent, but if it continues to rain at the rates that we're seeing, 1 to 2 inches of rain per hour for the next couple of hours, we could see some issues that, out there across North Harris County. So Greens Bayou, if you live out there, keep a close eye on that.
And for example, further upstream, Greens Bayou at Beltway 8, right near the airport,
Yeah.
it's at the bottom of its channel.
Okay. And they're going to continue the flood advisory until 4:15. That's going to be for central and southwest portions of Harris County and into Fort Bend County. They're just continuing it. So again, here's a look at the radar as it begins to fill in. This morning, if you watched 7 to 9 o'clock, all the rain, well, there was none, to be honest with you. All the rain. There was no rain. But as we got into the late morning hours, we began to see that training set up across our coastal counties from Matagorda into Brazoria, Galveston, and Chambers County. Now we're seeing another band of rain beginning to form here right across our central counties, from Wharton County into Fort Bend County, central Harris County, getting up into southern portions of Liberty County. Now, if there's any story mixed in here, and that is we really haven't seen a whole lot of issues with our coastal counties where it has been raining for the better part of the last couple of hours. We've seen 1 to maybe as much as about 3 inches of rain for our coastal counties. So, and I suspect that we're going to see the exact same here in our central counties as well. So Wharton County, Fort Bend County, Brazos Bend State Park, getting out towards Stafford, Missouri City, Sharpstown, Sugar Land, Mission Bend, maybe getting up towards Cinco Ranch and the Katy area. This is likely going to move into your region. So if you're watching out there towards Katy, if you're in Cinco Ranch or anywhere out there in far western Harris County, this rain is headed your way. And again, 1 to 2, maybe as much as 3 inches of rain will be a possibility. My friends up in Montgomery County, not much going on right now, but rain is headed your way as well. I think everybody's going to end up with a good drink of water before it's all said and done. So I want to recap. First off, remember, if you watched this morning, it has been raining for the better part of 3 or 4 hours here along our coastal counties. And so far, looking at the rainfall totals from Harris County Flood Control District, we've seen 1 to 2 inches of rain. There's no reason to think otherwise that we won't see the same thing in our central counties. Wharton, Fort Bend, Harris, Southern Liberty. Same thing, same type of banding setting up that we saw earlier along our coast. It did prompt a flood advisory for Galveston Island, but the most rain that I can see officially down there in Galveston is about 2 inches. And we can easily handle 2 inches of rain across Harris County. Okay. Yeah, so David's going to run the radar here for me. We're looking at rainfall totals, and these rainfall totals generally what I'm expecting between 1 to 2 inches. So he's going to clear that out. And this is over the last 12 hours. You can see the heaviest of the rain is down here towards Brazos Bend State Park, where we were sampling that earlier at about 1.5 inches of rain, and that's exactly what it is now. Coming in at a 1/2 inch of rain there just south of Sugar Land. We've got 1 inch of rain there near Bel Air and Meyerland. Moving up here on the northeast side of town, about a 1/2 inch of rain. This is going to be up near Dyersdale, and 3/10 of an inch just south of Pearland and Manville. And Dave, let's sample some areas down towards Texas City. So there you go, Pasadena coming in at just over 1/2 inch of rain. Texas City, Santa Fe, down towards Tiki Island and Galveston. So 1.8, 1 inch. So 1 to 2 inches of rain, pretty good bet down there in Galveston Island. And again, as I said earlier, there's no reason to think that we won't see the exact same thing across portions of Harris County. So those of you who are thinking, oh my gosh, this is Tuesday all over again, we're going to get 15 inches of rain, not the case. These storms are completely different, and as we were talking about the lightning, they're not convective. Well, they are, but they're not overly convective, and not really...
Not getting the strobe light effect.
Yeah, not getting the strobe light effect, although that brings David back to the 70s. He won't tell you that, but he's...
I was in elementary school. I missed that part of the 70s.
Well, there you go. I wasn't born until, well, we'll tell you that later. 1985, just in case any of you who are wondering.
Look at how the rain, that rain band, see how it's beginning to spread a little bit? The last few frames out now.
Right here?
From years of watching the rain, see how it expands right there?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's tight, now it's expanding. It means it's weakening.
Well, and we've seen that with the lightning as well. In fact, it's not, we're only picking up about 3 or 4 lightning strikes down there in Fort Bend County right now. So again, good news. I'm continuing to look out the window, and the visibility is still pretty good despite the heavy rain coming in. And it's going to continue to move in and weaken, hopefully, as it pushes into Wharton, pushes into Fort Bend County, Greatwood, Sugar Land, Sienna Plantation, Mission Bend.
Looking at the rain gauges, Sugar Land area?
Yeah.
1/2 to 3/4 of an inch.
Yeah, I see 84/100ths of an inch there just south of the Sugar Land Town Center.
Yeah.
And Colony Grant, 84/100ths of an inch.
So that's not enough to cause anything.
Not at all.
At the moment.
Not at all.
Yeah, and what I see that radar trend of that band, it's weakening. For the moment, it's weakening. So you got that going.
Yeah, these rain totals aren't overly impressive, but again, we're on saturated ground, so it may not take a whole lot.
That's right.
And you know, the other thing that we have going for us is everything is so green, which is good. And evapotranspiration, and that's going to help reduce. We seem to be a battle of the meteorologists up here this afternoon. You explain positive vorticity, and I'll explain evapotranspiration, okay? The bottom line here is, so everything's green. It's absorbing the water. It's holding on to it. It's not allowing it to run off. Now, if we were to have these kind of rain rates in the dead of winter, January, February, when everything is dormant and dead, everything would run off, and we would have much bigger problems. But thankfully, everything is green around the area. It's absorbing a lot of the water that's falling, and really haven't seen a response in the bayous, which is certainly good news.
Brays Bayou at South Main is rising.
Okay.
But still.
So this is Brays Bayou at South Main. Well, it does showing.
It's 20 feet below bank full. So it's got a long way to go. You can see how it's reacting. That's the reaction. The bayou's rising, but it's doing its job, and it's not flooding right now.
I wish we could show this on the air. Well, you know, the bottom line here is all the bayous around the area are in good shape, truly. We could get 6 or 7 inches of rain, I still think we would be okay. And I don't think that we're looking at that kind of rainfall for today. 2, 3 inches max. There may be one area that sees 4, maybe 5 inches, maybe, and that's pushing it. I think most of us will end up in that 1 to 3 inch category. And that's exactly what the forecast was this morning. If you watched between 7 and 9 o'clock, and even if you watched last night, David Paul was saying the exact same thing. 1 to 3 inches, 4 to 5 max. And everything seems to be falling in line exactly as the computer models are showing. And speaking of computer models, in fact, I want to show you this. The RPM and the rapid refresh models, 2 of the models that we rely heavily on, along with the global forecast system, GFS, and the European model, and that is they have knocked this out of the park as far as the initialization and how they have resolved the calculations. David, you have a mess here. Where's your models? There's one.
What I would do is just go into Build.
Found one.
And then just select the one you want.
So this takes us into, what time is it now? 2 o'clock. So this is 3 o'clock. Clearly the rain is still ongoing, pretty heavy here across the Houston area, but you'll notice the cutoff line from Yoakum to Schulenburg to Brenham to College Station. And then by the time we get to 5 o'clock, you'll notice that the back edge now coming ever so closer to Houston. And then by the time we get to 7 o'clock, there you can see the ending of it pushing on out. So whatever your dinner plans are, maybe you're going out for a late evening tonight, looks like it's going to be fairly okay. We're in for a nice night once all this rain pushes out. And you know what? It's also going to be a chilly night comparatively speaking. It's going to be temperatures in the 50s and lower 60s, so you actually may need a very light sweater as you work your way around town late tonight or early tomorrow morning. Temperatures are really going to dive, and the reason why, check this out. Yesterday, Dallas set the coldest afternoon high temperature ever seen for the day of May 10th. They had a high temperature yesterday of 57 degrees. Isn't that crazy? 57 degrees. Just totally bizarro. Okay, they're currently sitting at 60 degrees. So we've got, let me clear this out, we've got a lot of cool air up here. Look at this, 50s, where they were bottoming out in the 40s earlier this morning. It's 60 in Dallas right now. So we've got this north wind coming in, and that's driving in a drier, more stable air mass here across southeast Texas. That's why we're fairly confident to say that this rain will come to an end later on this evening, and once it does, the atmosphere will stabilize. It's going to be a cool night, and tomorrow's going to be really, really pretty, just absolutely perfect as we get into your Mother's Day. So while a few days ago we thought, well, this weekend looking pretty dicey, well, it really only turned out to be today. David, check this out. It is now 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we just cracked 60 on the second week of May in Dallas.
It's 60 in Dallas. It's the middle of May. It's 58 in Abilene. Even Austin, it's 65 in the middle of May.
And these are our average lows this time of year, almost.
I'm going to jump on Facebook. So if you got a question, go to KHOU11's Facebook page. I'm going there, and then I'll toss it to Blake, and he can answer it. So. I don't have a mic. So.
Well, you took over my computer here, so you're going to have to go to Weather 1. All right, let's go back to the radar.
I'm very encouraged with what I'm seeing.
I am too. Yeah, it's just a good old-fashioned rainy day.
This is a very rainy day. There is street ponding and puddling, but I don't think this is going to be a big flood.
No, I don't either.
Cautiously optimistic. No, street flooding. I'm still watching the Bible. Let me go to Facebook.
So there's a look at the radar once again. So those of you out in Katy, heads up, this line is pushing your direction right now. Bowling, you're getting heavy rain. Brazos Bend State Park, you're getting in on the lighter rain actually right now as we speak. The heavy rain, by the way, if you have a flight out of Bush Intercontinental Airport, you are likely going to see some flight delays because the airport is located right there. I-A-H. There it is. So up on the north side, you've got that heavy band just moving into the big airport. Hobby Airport down here. Still in the rain. I'm sure they are seeing flight delays currently as well. Jersey Village, you guys are just on the edge of the heavy rain right now. If you're headed out 290 towards Waller, you're okay, but you're going to run into some heavy rain once you get out in far northwest portions of Harris County, getting into Waller County. And finally, out here towards Montgomery County, haven't seen a whole lot as of yet, but the rain is certainly moving your way as well. So if you're watching from the Woodlands, Oak Ridge North, Imperial Oaks, out there towards Spring, you're definitely going to see some heavy rain in the next hour to 2 hours at the most. Out here towards Polk County, we've got a lot of viewers out there towards Lake Livingston, into San Jacinto County, San Jac for short. So if you're out there in San Jac or Polk County, maybe up towards Walker County, you guys are likely going to see the rain as well, especially as what we're seeing out here towards the I-35 corridor, south of LaGrange, pushing into Providence City. All of this is moving off to the east-northeast, and this is what's going to clip our northern counties. So those of you out there in Cat Springs, maybe towards Brenham and Washington County, central Austin County, or Colorado County, that's the rain that is headed your direction. So I'm sure on Facebook a lot of you guys are wondering, what about my neighborhood? When is it going to rain in my neighborhood? Well, that's very difficult to say. Obviously, if you are south of I-10, it is raining in your neighborhood, and it's going to continue to rain for the next couple of hours. If you're north of I-10, out here towards Montgomery County, northwest Harris County, out toward, well, Waller County, you guys are getting a lot of rain right now as well. But everybody should see some rain within the next hour or two at the very most as this disturbance continues to push on through. As far as the rain rates go, we've seen 1 to 2 inches in the heaviest of the bands, but thankfully it's not raining for long stretches of time. And even if it is, that rain tends to ebb and flow a little bit. It'll pick up in intensity and then it kind of backs off in intensity. So we're going to kind of continue to see this band work its way ever so slowly to the north. So the next folks that are likely to see some very heavy rain in the next couple of minutes here are going to be those areas out there along 1960. So if you're, this is David's neck of the woods right here, Jersey Village. David, it's not raining at your house.
Yay.
Not yet, but it will.
Why don't buy you?
It's right on the edge, by the way. take a look at the radar. Look behind you. It's
back, yeah. I'm going to need a machete to get in my front yard after all this rain is finally done because of the grass growing and the evapotranspiration.
Ooh, what is evapotranspiration? Okay. Here comes the rain.
Here's a question from Esther. We got hit hard in Porter Tuesday. Will we get it again today? Our area flooded. Any extra rain will compound the problem. That's Esther up in Porter.
Okay, Esther, so up there in Porter, which is here in eastern Montgomery County, you can see that heavy rain continuing to sit just to your south. And I do think that this is going to continue to wobble up, crossing over Spring Creek and the San Jacinto River and get into the Porter area. Now, once it gets into Porter, I think that most of us, again, the same along the I-10 corridor, same as we saw in our coastal counties, I think most of us will see upwards of about 1 inch of rain. Some areas maybe up to 2 or maybe 3 inches of rain, but I think we're going to be hard-pressed to see more than 3 inches of rain, especially if you are north of I-10. Now, certainly you guys do not need the rain, especially out here towards Kingwood and Atascocita, out there along Kingwood Drive, Townsend, what's the other one? Park, is it Park Place? No. I can't remember the other road up there. But anyway, the bottom line here, those of you out in the Kingwood area, it is raining. It is raining hard, but again, not more than 1 to 2 inches of rain that we're expecting. Now, what put you guys underwater on Tuesday is you had 10 to 15 inches of rain and falling in a very short period of time. What we're seeing today, 1 to 3 over the course of several hours. So we are not looking at the same flooding that we saw for you guys on Tuesday. Yes, I know you're nervous. Yes, I know it's raining hard in your areas up there, Atascocita, Humble, Kingwood, out here along 1960, just north of the airport. And stretching all the way back out towards 290 where it turns into Highway 6. I think everybody's going to see some heavy rain there in northwest Harris County pretty soon. So if you're out there in Old Oaks, Champions Forest, David, you know this area. What's out there? Ponderosa, Willowbrook Mall, Westador.
Old Oaks.
Yeah. So anyway, if you're along 1960, you know the area. Heavy rain, obviously, just to your south, and it is inching ever slowly to the north. So here's I-10 Katy Freeway. And it's just now crossing over Katy Freeway out towards the Barker and Addicks reservoirs. This is headed up towards 290, so Jersey Village heads up. It's on your doorstep right now. This is going to be crossing out over 290 in northwest Harris County out towards 99, the 99 connector here coming up pretty soon. Out there towards Waller, seeing a few lightning strikes as well, but not something that really catches my eye and saying, wow, that's impressive. It's impressive in the fact that it's just raining hard. It's not impressive in the fact that it's severe and we're looking at widespread disruption. So a rainy afternoon, yes, I think some of us are going to get 1, 2, 3 inches of rain as this continues to inch up to the north. So those of you out towards, say, let's see, what's through here? We've got, here's the Beltway, we've got Airtex, we've got Ritchie Road, FM 1960, Cypresswood Drive, FM 2920, Spring Creek, Rayford Road, Research Forest Drive, 242, 1488. So those are the exits taking you all the way up into Montgomery County, and I think every single one of those are going to see the heavy rain push in within about the next hour or so. So let me zoom on out. We've got other areas besides North Harris County. I want to focus in on Needville, into New Gulf, into Wharton. We've got a lot of heavy rain out here as well. Some very heavy downpours out there along the Southwest Freeway, getting into Wharton County, pushing up into the Needville area, Rosenberg, Sugar Land. Here's the Southwest Freeway right here. And boy, it just continues to redevelop. Now, I'm encouraged a little bit because, David, this band of heavy rain has shifted and continues to shift now ever so slowly to the north. So
It's not sitting over the same place.
Exactly. So New Gulf, looks like you're almost done with the very heavy rain. Lane City, you're almost done with the very heavy rain. This is going to continue to cross over the Southwest Freeway, getting out towards East Bernard. If you're in East Bernard, heads up. Heavy rain headed your way. Again, not severe, not expected to be severe. You may get some gusty winds. 25, 30 miles an hour, but we're not looking for anything super disruptive out of that. Rosenberg, same story there. Sugar Land, same dog bit you. Some heavy rain pushing in. Just kind of a wet afternoon. Brazos Bend State Park, same story for you. Fresno, getting into Houston. Just some light to moderate rain right now. Let me expand the view a little bit. Now we're continuing to see this redevelop off to the south and west, getting out towards Seadrift and Victoria. And this is going to continue to ride up the Southwest Freeway as well. So Wharton, getting out towards Bay City. We're not quite done with the rain here yet as it continues to redevelop to the southwest and push off in that direction. So Sealy, you're going to catch a break here in a little bit. We've got a few scattered sprinkles out there, a few scattered downpours out towards Hallettsville, and this is also going to be pushing up 90 into the west side of Harris County. So those of you out towards Katy, I don't want to forget about you folks, Cinco Ranch, Katy. Oh, shucks. You know, my 33-year-old brain is having issues today, David. Can't think of the names. Copperfield. That's what I was trying to think of. Copperfield. Out there along Highway 6 in Cypress. All of this headed your way. So my friends up in Cypress, Copperfield, Jersey Village, Willowbrook Mall, out there along the Tomball Parkway, 249, and FM 1960, right where it turns into Highway 6. You guys are about to get wet. So it is time to bring in the party, pack it up, send the in-laws home. Of course, you wanted to do that anyway. Don't lie. All right, down here in the Kingwood area. Again, we were talking about Kingwood earlier up here in northeast Harris County, out towards the Atascocita. I know you guys are concerned, very heavy rain in your region right now, but the rainfall rates here are significantly less than what we saw back on Tuesday, where we were looking at rainfall rates 5 to 6 inches of rain per hour, and we got 15 inches of rain in 3 hours. Today, not.
Sydney wants to know about Baytown.
Sydney and Baytown. Let's take a look at Baytown. Hey, Sydney, hope you have your umbrella. So there is Baytown. Right there, we've got some heavy rain over your area, but you know what, David? I'm not seeing any lightning in this at all. So this is just a rainy day, with a rainfall rate maybe of whoa, my goodness, Gesundheit. Yeah, or maybe it's just me. Anyway, all right, that joke fell flat. Baytown, yeah, you're getting a little bit of light to moderate rain right now, but again, this is not flooding rain. This is just a turn on your windshield wipers and headlights kind of day, and take it easy out there as you make your way to the grocery store. Highlands, yes, you're getting some heavy rain. Channel View, same thing there. Worcester into LaPorte. Bay Oaks getting some light rain as well. Out there along the west side of Galveston Bay. Out towards Barrett in East Harris County, Northeast Harris County. Out towards Dyersdale, Jacinto City, Cloverleaf, Channel View. This heavy rain continuing to push off to the east-northeast. David, are you getting any other questions? I'm sure a lot of folks wanted to know what it's going to do in Hobby Airport. Okay. How do you spell what? Nuisance. Hold on. If anybody knows how to spell nuisance, let David know.
It's nuisance street flood.
Nuisance. I don't know how to spell it. Is it N-E? Wow. How many journalists and meteorologists does it take to spell nuisance?
N-U-I-S-A-N-C. Can you use it in a sentence? N-U-I-S-A-N-C-E.
Thank you. Well, that was a nuisance. All right. Let's zoom into Liberty County. Got some folks out there wanting to know what it's doing in Dayton Lakes and Liberty and DayZeta. All right, well, same dog bit you as well. Lots of heavy rain, few lightning strikes out there, 1 to 2 inches of rain per hour. Again, we can laugh a little bit. We can have a little bit of fun because this is not overly threatening. This is 1 to 2 inch, maybe 3 inches of rain at max, and not really seeing a whole lot in the way of flooding. The bayous are in great shape at this time. We're not seeing any overflows from area bayous whatsoever, and that's good. And of course, David Paul and I continue to check in on that. Halls Bayou, Greens, Brays, Sims, Spring, and Cypress Creeks, everything well within its banks. Yeah, David, did you have a question, statement?
Caitlin wanted to know if the rain today would affect flights out of Hobby and Bush tomorrow.
Tomorrow? Probably not. No. I imagine that some flights are still getting out of both airports today. There's no reason why they wouldn't. Planes take off in the rain. If not, we'd never get out of Houston. There's Hobby Airport right there. There's Hobby. And there's Belfort Street and Airport Boulevard. And let's see, the Gulf Freeway, Gulf Crest. So yeah, Hobby, you're getting some light rain right now.
Caitlin also spelled nuisance for us.
Nuisance.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Spelling, I'll tell you. It's like, how do you console somebody that is a stickler about grammar? There.
It's not enough to cause a big flood, Blake.
Not at all. And then that's why I say, you know, we can have a little bit of fun here as the rain pushes in, because it's not overly threatening as far as the amount of flooding that we're seeing. All the bayous are in good shape. Most of the area streets are in good shape. The only problems that we're going to be seeing possibly are going to be out towards some of the feeder roads, and especially along the North Freeway. Gulf Bank comes to mind, Tidwell, Parker. Just a heads up as you make your way up the North Freeway. I'm not too familiar with the feeder roads down on the southeast side. I know they've had a lot of construction there on the Gulf Freeway as they've continued to expand that. And by the way, what a beautiful freeway that is. So nice. I wish they would do the same thing on the North Freeway. If anybody in power in the city of Houston is watching, please expand the North Freeway. Thanks in advance. Other than that, David, looks like it's just a good old-fashioned rainy day as this boundary continues to work its way on off to the north and northwest. So, again, areas to the north, North Harris County, Coles Crossing, out there along 99, Spring, Woodlands, Conroe. You guys are going to be getting in on the rain here very quickly within about the next 30 to 45 minutes.
Montgomery.
Yeah. So here's 105 right here. If you're south of 105 in the town of Magnolia, you guys are getting heavy rain right at the moment. This is going to be pushing east towards Pinehurst and getting into the backside of the Woodlands out there along 2978 and Honey Egypt Road. I want to take a look at these temperatures. This is just blows my mind, truly.
I'd love to see forecast temperatures for tonight. I don't know if you can whip that up.
Yeah.
Are you in my rundown? Good luck.
I know. Yeah.
Feel free to flip to your rundown.
I've noticed you've got lots of duplicates in here.
I have my own ways.
All right. So we're going to take a look at forecast lows tonight. Give me just 1 second to get her set up here. Okay. All right, so let's give the computer a chance to get caught up here.
Brays Bayou is fine.
Brays Bayou is fine. So the computer is still trying to catch up here. It's still loading in the data because I just fixed the timestamp here, so there are the colors popping up. David, look at this. We've got 57 degrees tomorrow morning, College Station, 58 in Brennan. By the way, College Station this morning bottoming out at 59 degrees. It's showing 66 at Bush, 62 in Conroe. I think we're going to be significantly cooler than that. I think we're going to be in the low 60s, even some upper 50s. Yeah, it certainly is.
Real quickly, east side, Halls Bayou at Tidwell is fine.
All right, Halls Bayou at Tidwell is in good shape. Mm-hmm.
Everywhere else in Harris County is less than an inch so far.
Let's see.
Hunting Bayou on the east side rising, but still near the bottom of its channel.
So what I'm seeing here on the Harris County Flood Control District site, let me switch over to the radar. And that is, let me zoom into Harris County. So there's Harris County right there, David. What I'm seeing is it's in the far southeast corner of Harris County that has seen 1 to 1.5 inches. This is where the heaviest of the rain has fallen so far today. I'm not impressed with what I'm seeing up here. Despite the bright reds and the heavy rain, half inch.
There's just very, very little lightning.
Yeah.
I see one strike in the past 15 minutes between Spring and Aldine. Lightning tells us the intensity of the rain, the intensity of the convection up and down motion inside the storm. If there's a lot of lightning, we know we've got that convection going, which can produce those torrential flash flooding rains. If there's no lightning or little lightning, there's not as much convection. It's a steady, moderate rain, but it's not enough. It's not enough to cause flash flooding, which is why we're a little relaxed right now. We're doing good, but we're monitoring this because I know a lot of folks are nervous about this.
Yeah.
That looks good. The bayous are all doing good. This is weakening a little bit, moving north. So my swimming pool is now a what I call a custom flush pool.
One of those forever pools.
Yes, my pool is an infinity pool right
Infinity
now
pool.
in Jersey Village because it rained 4 or 5 inches and I haven't had time to mess with it, so I hope it doesn't turn green. But it's completely flush across the top. That will add to the effect. But bottom line is right now we're all doing good. Good.
I don't know if you guys can hear him, but he says we're all doing well. So we're going to cap this off here just for a few minutes. David and I are going to get our thoughts together.
What you can do is let's just leave it up.
Okay, we're going to leave this up,
Leave the radar
and we're going to check back in here in 5 or 10 minutes. David and I are going to collaborate here and get our thoughts together on the forecast, and then we'll be back with you here in about 10 or 15 minutes.